Hello, this is Ken Ferry with this week's Boots in the Field Report. As the growing season marches on, we're seeing that crop move towards the finish line. Starting to see more variations in the bean fields as we see more SDS showing up, and in some areas dry weather stress. Stress in the reproductive stages tends to speed up maturity. We're seeing the early planted beans in the drier areas showing some stress and starting to actually change color. Now, some of this stress is compaction related, and some of it is pH related in some of the higher pH pockets. How far along they are will play a big role in how much the stress affects the yield. I toured bean fields in north central and northeast Iowa last week that had soybean aphids present. These beans will need to be sprayed because the populations were too high and the beans had a ways to go yet. But here locally, beans are free of aphids so far. Starting to see more stink bug out there, so watch those seed acres, guys. In the corn, we're seeing more tar spot popping. Most corn I've been in looks like it's going to make it to black layer, but the plant may be trashed by that time. Other areas seem to be somewhat clean of tar spot, but I do expect that to continue to change as we're finding tar spot in the upper portion of the plant, indicating that it's on the move. Seeing southern rust in several fields, and this week's hot temperatures will kick up the amount of southern rust we have to deal with. We continue to find aphids and green snap to be our biggest detractors in yield, but N deficiency is showing up in a number of fields. This is visible from the number of yellow fields that you can see from the road that have yellowed up all the way to the tassel. Now, plants running out of N at R4 run the risk of tip abortion. At R5, tip kernels are going to get light, and if it's a D hybrid, it's going to cost you in late fill. I think back to the nitrate season this summer. After 2 really nitrogen-friendly years, this year's samples indicated we had lost some nitrogen and we needed to deal with it. On top of that, many growers also bumped up yield goals, which today looks like it was the right thing to do. With higher goals and nitrate samples indicating N lost, we bumped many sidedress rates. I remember the calls back then. Ferry, you're killing me with these sidedress rates. We can see now that bumping those rates was the right thing to do. The more you had on in the fall or early spring, the more we had to bump those rates. In some of these fields showing N deficiency, yield checks indicate we're going to hit the yield goal, but nitrogen will stop us at that yield goal, meaning yield goals should be reevaluated this fall in some fields. Even in the fields that got bumped, some are suggesting they could have been bumped higher to keep that N deficiency below the ear leaf as we're tooling through R5. Seeing some of these big ears wanting to tip early due to weight of the ear and long ear shanks. The heat this week will make this more visible. Now, if temperatures drop and we pick up a shower, some of these will actually straighten back up. If the ear tips over due to weight before black layer, it's going to affect your fill. Many fields are showing top kill at the top of the plant, of course. This is more evident with stress on the crop. So the later it shows up, the less damage it'll do to yield. But if we lose those top 3 leaves too early, it'll lighten up the kernels on the top 1/3 of that ear. The amount of top kill is related to the amount of stress the crop is going through, just like tar spot. If you're running out of nitrogen, you'll become a victim of top kill. If you're deep into R5, the effect will be a lot lighter on yield. The crew here is busy getting the fall testing packets together for the testers, so if you haven't turned in your fall testing needs, let's get that done before harvest kicks off. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.